Eternal Return finally has more unofficial speedrunning categories. So let's break some records. What's poppin' everyone, it's your boy Levi, and today we're going to be setting some records. So last week, Tony took the liberty of creating some speedrun categories for Eternal Return. Previously, Eternal Return only had one unofficial category for speedrunning called Silvia All Zone Any %. You pick Silvia and you try to get to every zone as quickly as possible. Now the game has changed a ton since that record. We have speed gates, more spawns, less starting players, and more move speed items to help assist us. The run was originally created by Meep, I believe, so shout out to them. Also, shout out to Homecoming and Adritoma for also contributing to some other speedruns in Eternal Return. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see my attempt to break those records too. So starting off with Silvia Any %. In Meep's original video, they complete the run in 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Along their routing, they make Heelys for shoes and grab a feather for movement speed. With the introduction to augments in Eternal Return, we don't have to spend time crafting shoes anymore. We can start with clogs using the head starter augment. That means all we need is a rock to craft them into hiking boots for the fastest boots we can get with the lowest amount of work. A new rule that Tony added was that all these challenges have to be done in real player lobbies. Meep originally did this speedrun in a bot game. It's just an added challenge so that you get moments like this one.
Can I get one of those?
Because we get a burst of movement speed off the start, I like to use the full duration of the speed to make a stop in school. I imagine it's probably slower to interrupt your speed by getting rocks, so I usually wait until alley. Even though the upgraded shoes would give you more speed overall. Meep picks up a feather to help with the movement speed, and I think this is a good step, but since now that we have transfer drones, we don't need to stop to loot a box to get our feather, we can just call it in without breaking stride. I'm assuming that when Meep did this run, pistols also didn't give movement speed. We can upgrade our pistol with leather as the easiest option to get bonus movement speed. I think it's too slow to go for blue pistol, so we'll just stick with green. I'm running a mostly similar path to Meep. I like going to school in between archery and alley because I don't want to gamble the spawns in school. There's also a chicken on the way to the hyperloop in alley where I attempt to roll leather and feather. Ideally, you'll get a feather off this chicken so you can get the bonus movement speed as early as possible, but it's only a 25% chance. With some luck, you'll want to get the bottom spawn in hotel. As you can see, I did, and I ran straight out the bottom into forest. I think hyperloop spawns is what's going to really make or break your runs, especially this hotel one. It's a really long run from the top of hotel all the way to the uptown hyperloop, but it's considerably shorter if you get the lower spawn. The hyperloop in Avenue has also changed from Meep's original run. It's much less distance to run after TPing the temple. There's a huge time save compared to Meep's. The rest of the run is all the same though. I think if you get the Tree of Life spawn in Hospital, it's quicker to just TP into Cemetery than to run all the way across Hospital. And that's more or less the end of the run. I ran through the top of Factory rather than through Chapel from Cemetery. There's more speed gates I guess if you go the Chapel way, but it's lots of turns and I think the fastest way would just be a straight line. It's not really impressive breaking Meep's time because of how much the game has changed, but currently at the time of recording this, and according to what Tony's speedrunning doc says, I have the fastest time now, so there's one record down. Time to move on to Lenox Fishing. Lenox Fishing. Alrighty, the goal of this speedrun is to get the fastest time possible to fish a blue item utilizing Lenox's passive. This one's really RNG heavy because it's only a 1% chance to fish a blue item. I think the fastest way would be to reset if you don't get it on the first rod. However, because it's such a low percentage and I've done multiple runs of these without fishing a blue item, I'm just going to go with the first run I get. This run here is my fastest time. The previous record was 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Next up is the fastest death in the game without head booming. Head booming refers to just quitting out of the game, which is an instant kill. With that being banned, we have a few options. We could grief a player level 1 and see if they take a fight and try to kill me. We could run into red and wait the duration. Or we can try and die to an animal. I think animal is definitely the quickest way. The only animal that spawns at the start of the game are chickens, so we're going to go with that. The zones with the largest cluster of chickens are School and Chapel. To my knowledge, Chapel has the spawn closer to the chickens than School does. All that leaves is what champion we should pick. I think Bianca is the obvious choice. She has multiple abilities that use health as a resource. Bianca's E uses the most health at level 1. But the problem is that when you fully charge it, she gets healed for a portion of the damage. Not gonna lie, I kinda like this one. There's a little bit of skill, although very small, but still a little bit of skill involved. You have to try and aggro as much of the chickens as you can, as fast as you can, without fully charging your E. I took Red Sprite here to try and bounce the splash over to the chicken I missed with E to save time, but Red Sprite doesn't seem to proc on animals, so don't worry about that tech. I imagine the times on this will be really close. And now for the two longer speedruns. The first being fastest time to escape Lumia Island. And because these are longer challenges, I'm going to be cutting them up for this video. But I will upload the replays from my second channel for the legitimacy. If I remember, there should be a card above that will link you to those videos. The goal for the escape is to get a ring off a mutant animal or a blue chest. Upgrade it at the transfer console with 40 credits, or find the upgraded ring in a purple chest and take off. I think there's a plethora of characters you can choose for this that makes sense. Immediately, I'm sure Nadine comes to mind when you think of needing a ton of animal hunts. The goal is to stay alive and try to escape, however, not try to kill the whole lobby. Despite Nadine being the token animal slaying character, I actually don't think she's the best pick for this. She has only one mobility spell, and she doesn't have the quickest clear for animals comparatively to some other characters. The second thought that came to mind was Silvia. I could clear the hunts with her abilities and gain fuel, then bike between different camps. Silvia's early game, however, is pretty abysmal, and I wouldn't be visiting every zone either. So I decided on Ava. I felt like she had the tools to get the job done. She didn't need boots for her build, meaning I could stay on the hiking boots for speed. All her abilities are AoE, and she has a really low ultimate cooldown that I can spam on camps or to use to scare people off. Her mobility spell is on a pretty low cooldown as well, and I can loot the animals from far away with my passive to save some time. The goal was to try and rotate between 2 or 3 zones getting haunts off cooldown. I don't want to bother with the bears because they took a while to kill, so I decided on rotating between hotel, archery, and school. The good thing about this run is that because you're farming so many animals, you're gaining hella mastery. So even when someone pulls up on you, you're pretty strong and can put up a fight. If you're lucky, you'll either escape by yourself, or the person that also finds a ring wants to escape without fighting. I imagine this is a huge hurdle that can slow you down if you have to win a 1v1. And the final challenge is all gold items in Cobalt Protocol, the Exodia build. Cobalt Protocol was changed a bit recently so that you're less reliant on RNG to get gold items. Card above if you want to see all the changes to the mid-season Cobalt update. Let's get the obvious out of the way. I'm not spending credits on infusion. It's just a cost waste. I wouldn't say I'm bad at math, but I wouldn't say I'm good at math either. So I'm sure there's a formula to figure out the best character for this run. What I did was that I mathed out the percentage of each weapon type that has gold compared to all their weapons, and it turned out that dual swords, nunchuck, and spear all have 50% of their weapons being gold. However, spear has 8 weapons to choose from, and dual swords and nunchuck only have 6. I'm sure there's a way to calculate the probability of what the chances I roll a gold item on 3 chances, but personally, dual swords and nunchuck was just good enough for me. So that means I should look for Yuki, Jackie, Camillo, Piolo, or Lead Island. As expected, I tried my hardest to farm credits as fast as I could, and I immediately started rolling for weapon. I wanted to roll for weapon first because the best odds of getting a gold item right away, and I got it on the first roll. Now that poses the question of what to use the legendary shredder on. The lowest distribution of gold items for an armor slot is the chest slot at 35%, the next accessory at 42%. The most after your weapon is head at 47%, and shoes follow closely behind at 44%. Arm is in the middle at 43%. Basically, the plan was to random roll for a weapon, then head, then shoes, and use my legendary shredder in reverse order, on chest, then accessory, then arm. I did end up fucking up a little bit, and I started rolling shoes and arm before head because I forgot about it, but it didn't cost me too much time. I feel a little bad about not playing for the objective and kind of just playing for credits, but the game wasn't really going so well for us anyway, and I made sure I sweated really hard once I got all my gold items. Thanks so much for watching if you made it to this point. If you enjoyed this type of video, let me know in the comments. I've always been fascinated by the speedrunning community, so I was happy to see that Eternal Return got a few unofficial ones. As stated earlier, the VODs for each speedrun will be uploaded to my second channel, It's Levi Gaming, so be sure to check those out. We also just finished a Let's Play of Beacon Pines, and that was a ton of fun. If you are looking for more Eternal Return content, however, be sure to click the card in the end screen to watch me do an EXE type video on Isaac.